having a conversation with a seller. And how many of you spend hours upon hours a day on the computer, finding properties, looking at Zillow, Redfin, any of these other things? Raise your hand. Nobody? No few of us? Right? Does that work for you, Matt?
No.
That's not putting you in front of sellers? No. So what I'm going to try to tell you is how to unplug yourself and have more conversations with sellers and how to make that conversation result in an offer. Would that be okay? Would you give me 25 minutes to tell you about that?
Yes.
I'll show you the documents I use. I'll show you the marketing material I use. I'll tell you the theory behind it. And how many of you guys are my students right now? Raise your hand. Do you guys write offers every day? If you don't write an offer, what do? Yeah, I get mad, right? All right. You got to write an offer every day. All right, next slide, please. What I want to start out with, let's give some ground rules here. One more time. I have some animations. Okay. The 10,000-hour rule. If you read a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, The Outliers, great book. He talks about this rule. Have to get it for me? Professionals at the top of their game have spent 10,000 hours getting there. Jeff Bradley spent a lot of hours getting being a lawyer, right? Yep. Any airline pilots in here? Where's Darren? Captain Kananaga, airline pilot. You think he spent some time in the simulator and studying? Yep. Professional ball players is our Real Salt Lake player here. This is true. 10,000 hours of applied participation in whatever you want to do to become a professional. Go ahead. So here's the question. It will come, I promise, this question. It's keynote. Up, keep going. All right, so how fast can you get there? That's only 192 hours a week for 52 weeks. Or 27.42 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can get there. Just work 27.42 hours a day and you're there. So the question is, okay, how close are you to your 10,000 hours? All right? Now, looking on the computer at comps does not count. Because just like a doctor or an attorney, you've been through any mock trials, Jeff, in school? Dozens of them. And he doesn't speak fondly of them. How do you guys practice? If you're a real estate investor, how do you practice? You've got to do it. And how are you doing it? Well, I've never cashed an escrow check, and I don't think Jonas has either, but back me up or dispute it. Have you ever gotten an escrow check just because the escrow liked you and you didn't have a transaction? Because I want to go to that escrow officer if they're doing that for you. And all this comes as a result of a transaction, and the very first thing I have to do is write the offer. Okay? This is what I wanted to do with my first 10,000 hours of life. That's me, the handsome super trooper guy on the right. I have the same mustache. Okay? So my first 10,000 professional hours, I wanted to be a cop. Cowboys and Indians, I was the cowboy. Cops and robbers, I was the cop. I dedicated my life to that. I went to the academy, I got the badge, I got the cool haircut, I got the gun, right? And at 19, I spent 10 years of my life enforcing the law in Southern California. That's what I wanted to do. And I can tell you that every day we practiced what we learned in the academy. Whether it was getting in a running gunfight, going to the LA riots, being in a bar fight, getting stabbed, getting in a car wreck, getting in a bar stool broken on my back. That's just managing properties in Albany, too. Well qualified. Okay, go ahead. Sorry we're waiting on this, but I don't have the remote. Usually I've got a different setup here. We're just going to stare at a blank screen a little bit, and we'll figure it out. All right. So in this business, you got to ask yourself, the police academy is pretty simple. They wanted to churn out law enforcement officers. They had a codified system. When you were done, they could say you passed the California POST, Peace Officer Standards and Training. What license do you get as a real estate investor? None. Zero. Whose curriculum do you follow? No one's. You belong to the University of Diversity. That means you lose money, and then you're like, dang, I don't want to do that anymore. Anybody lost money? The rest of you are kind of hurry up and lose it fast, man, so you can stop losing it. You're not laughing now. Everyone's like, that wasn't very funny. That's just the truth. So the goal here, in law enforcement, it was enforce the law. They gave you a book, it had all the laws in it. It had the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. It was easy. You knew what the rules were. Break the rules, I'm taking you down. Here, you got to get buyers and sellers together. Is that true? So what do you have to be before you can make money and sell something? You got to be a buyer. You got to buy it first, right, Ryan? Buy it. Be a buyer, then you can be a seller. Just even if just for a second. You wholesalers out there, what are you wholesaling, Mark? What are you wholesaling? A property, a contract, right? You're signing that contract. But you can't just, nobody's going to just send you checks for nothing. Again, if you are sending checks to people for nothing, I want to be on your list. I'm good with that. Click that again. Get it in writing. How many of you have ever been jacked around in a deal? Somebody went around you in a transaction. Has that ever happened to anybody? A couple of us? We're the only two idiots, the three of us, that ever had anybody go around. It's okay, we're four idiots. It's like, yeah, all right. It's not fun to admit, but sometimes you think that you're not going to have to be just getting in writing. I can't tell you the number of times either I've bought a deal or one of my buddies has bought a deal, and we were looking at the same house, right? We were looking at the same house, and Jim got it and I didn't. And I'm like, dang, man, I've been having cookies and milk with that old lady for a year. How come she sold you that house? So we go to the old lady, we ask. Oh, well, he wrote it down. See, because I was doing the would you. Hey, John, would you take this? Would you take that? Oh, I would do that, but I never wrote it down. See, I never landed the plane. Well, Jim put it in writing, he got the deal. So we get the buyers and the sellers together, and we put it in writing. And then Jonas said this, right? Get a big bag of money. You guys want a big bag of money, right? Or, click it one more time, watch it go and smoke. You like that animation? It took me a long time to find the animation. I'm very happy. Then you get this. Oh, ooh, that's money. Who looks at that and sees money? Yeah. So the result of all your hard work and your contracts and talking to the sellers, you get a toilet. Now, that looks really nasty, doesn't it? Yeah? But actually, somebody just lit some toilet paper on fire and put it in there. But it looks way worse. It doesn't look like that, does it? All right? So this is your goal. Your goal, now you can buy and sell pretty houses. That's the retail market, right? Realtors know that. You wouldn't want to list a house that look like this. I hope not. But we're your friends as investors. We'll buy a house like that. As a matter of fact, we prefer that they look like that. That's mild for a lot of the stuff that we want to buy. Is that true? So put yourself in the right frame of mind. When you're looking at this stuff, this is more than likely what your seller is looking at every day. You ever heard the phrase, Jim? Accentuate the negative? James, is that pretty negative? That's what I focus on when I have a meeting with the seller. Wow, what happened? What kind of war did you have going on in this toilet? Right? Hit that slide button for me. Okay, so this is the point where I stop and I talk to you about the advantages, the 7 benefits as explained to me by my mentor and coach, Peter Fortunato. Here are the 7 benefits related to real estate. Some of them you know. When we're focusing on flipping, what are we focusing on? Profits. See that one at the peak of the roof there? Profits. You buy it low and you sell it for more than you paid for it. What do you put in your pocket? Jane? Cash profit. Right? Makes sense? You also pay the highest amount of taxes when you do that. Isn't that true? Short-term cap gain. Not a bad game. I've done it a whole bunch. It's fun. Anybody else like it? Pete, you like putting big checks in your bank account?
Very much.
Profits. Okay? On the left, we have growth. That would be what we also call appreciation. Right, Chase? If they're appreciated, can we always count on appreciation? No. Dang it, I wish we could, but we can't always count on appreciation. So if those are the 2 big ones, there's 5 others that are very, very rarely mentioned. One of those is income. Landlords in the room, let me see your hands go up. We hope every property cash flows, I guarantee it, Brian, positive or negative. But they will cash flow. Which one do you like? Randall? Yeah, we all like positive. That is income. And why do we like long-term income from rental property? Matt? Why do we like long-term income from rental as opposed to short-term money?
It's taxed better.
we have a more favorable tax position. Isn't that true? And it lets us kind of build up some residual income. So when you have an event, I happened to have an event that was pretty serious, and I was out of commission for 4 months, but my renters kept paying the bills. And I kept being able to count on that income. Because see, my tenants didn't know where I was, what I was doing. They just did their job. They did what they were told. That makes sense? That's income. Management. I'm here to tell you, we have a couple property managers in here, right? Managing somebody else's property is probably the best money you're going to make in this business. Somebody's got to manage that. How many of you guys manage your own properties? Okay? Well, so you're not paying yourself for that. You're just not paying somebody else. Does that make sense? So there is a piece in there that you could grab for all those people that raised their hand and said they were managing their own property. If somebody else in here was willing to manage that for you, is there some days when you just shake your head and go, man, I really need to hire a property manager, right? There's a piece in there that you, as if you're brand new, you've been doing it for a while, if you were willing to manage somebody else's property, well, that's a stream of income for you. I mean, if you're making $100 a month per property, and you had 10 of them, that'd be an extra $1,000 a month. You didn't have to get the loan bill. You didn't have to finance it. You didn't have to pay the HOA. Just collect the money. Just be a babysitter. I'm a good babysitter. Believe me. Anybody else be a babysitter? Anybody else have kids? Then you're a property manager. Clean your room, brush your teeth, clean up the dish. You are a property manager. That's exactly what you do to your tenants. Your number one tip for a property manager, treat them like they're your kids. Just don't tuck them in. That might get weird. Okay? Amortization. What does every long-term fixed rate loan have attached to it? An amortization schedule. If you can learn the power of amortization, it will serve you really well. I bought a house recently. I took it over, subject to the existing debt. That means I had a loan on it. I didn't get the loan bill. Somebody else got the loan. And Matt said, oh, I'll sell that to you, but I'm just walking away. They walked away and they gave me the property with the loan on it. $982.54 a month is the payment. It's rented for $1,200. That sounds pretty good. When you back out expenses, it's not as good as it sounds. There's still some money there. But you know what? Every month that the tenant makes my payment, right now, $195.07 goes to pay down what's owed on the loan. And the funny thing is, every month from this point forward, Randall, it gets better and better and better. A little bit more goes toward the principal every single month. So, Jonas, I don't have to count on growth. I just got to let my tenant pay off the house, which, by the way, I didn't qualify for. Does that make sense? Amortization, really powerful. Tax benefits, Matt mentioned a little bit earlier. When you receive income as rental income, it goes where? Schedule E on your taxes. It's not classified as a short-term cap gain. You can classify it as rental income and get more favorable tax treatment. You also get to take any losses against it. So how many of you in here are or know a high net worth individual that makes a really good W-2 income? Would they like a tax shelter? Would you like a tax shelter? Rental property is fantastic because if you think about it, even if you're cash flowing negative, and Randall said he likes positive, me too, but if you're cash flowing negative, $200 a month, but $300 a month was going toward building up amortization, are you still ending up ahead? Yeah, you just fooled the tax man. You're amortizing faster than your negative cash flow. So do you want to either, Jay, do you want to give it to the government, or do you want to give it to your property, your asset that'll be there for you when you retire? I don't know about you, Brian. I want to give it to my own property. So it's kind of a cool flip over. If you can find how many people would like a negative cash flow property, all those high net worth people, right, that just mentioned it. So if you got a dog property that's negative cash flowing, raise your hand. No one's got one. Well, if you got one and you don't need it, somebody else in here needs it. Okay? And finally, use. All you high-intensity investors here that own more than one house, the funny thing is you can't live in more than one at a time. So who lives in them when you're not there? Eric, your tenants, right? Tenants pay you to live in your property. I think that's the coolest thing ever, James. I got people living in houses all over the place, and they write checks to me every month. It still makes me giggle a little bit the first of every month. They wrote me another check. Right? I think it's cool. All right? So this is, at the bottom it says, the foundation of each transaction is security. If a party does not believe that he or she will receive the promised benefits, there will be no deal.